Okay, we'll get started. Welcome everyone. I'm Soraya Baluch, a member of Union, and I'm very honored to introduce Irene Smalls. Ms. Smalls is an award-winning author of 15 acclaimed children's books published by Little Brown, Simon & Schuster, and Scholastic. Her celebrated titles including Jonathan and His Mommy, My Nana and Me, and an affirmation, Night Baby Night, a Parents' Choice Award-winning bedtime book, centers Black families and culture with warmth, authenticity, and joy. Her stories serve as mirrors and windows, empowering children to see themselves while building understanding across communities. A Harlem native, Ms. Smalls earned her undergraduate degree in Black Studies from Cornell University and an MBA in Behavioral Science from NYU. She is a 40-year member of Union United Methodist Church and a Back Bay resident. Beyond books, Ms. Smalls is a certified pediatric sleep consultant and the creator of Literasize, a brain-based literacy and movement program that supports healthy child development. Through Sleepwise Health, she advocates for sleep equity and pediatric wellness, particularly for children of color, addressing disparities that affect learning, behavior, and long-term health. Please join me in welcoming Irene Smalls.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, welcome everyone. I'm delighted to be here to have a chance to share with you the exciting news about sleep. And a lot of people think that sleep is sort of something ordinary. It's not. And we're going to learn and explore how to make your life better, your sex life better, your skin more beautiful, and to add years to your life. So first of all, Sister Slumber is powerful because a lot of the workshops that I've been kind of dropping in and out, they talk about, the disparities and the issues that affect Black women. And sleep is free. Sleep is readily available. So that's a power that we can take for ourselves, that we can manifest, who we are supposed to be. And so, Sister Slumber, the secret to Black wellness. And so what I want to do is that, we've had a busy day, it's been raining and so on and so forth. So I want to center a little bit. If we could just center on this space, on this community of women and men, I'm sure, to the side there. And so just center, take a moment, and take a deep breath. Okay, we're here. We're together, we're in this space. Thank you for doing that. Now, what we're going to talk about is, number one, is to understand sleep. What are the parts of sleep? Why sleep is important? And mostly, how to get more and better sleep. Now, an estimated 50 to 7 million Americans have chronic sleep deprivation. So it's nothing new, it's been going on forever. Absolutely forever. But among Black women, the incidence of sleep deprivation is most severe and is most chronic. And so, do you have the rhythm? How many of you can raise your hand and say you have rhythm? Okay, well, all right now, but let me talk about this rhythm. All right, okay, I see you over there. Well, let me talk about this rhythm. And what we're talking about is the circadian rhythm. It's a sleep-wake cycle. And literally, you have to understand that in your brain, you have a master clock. Ooh, don't get too close to that. And that master clock sets the clocks for all the organs in your body. Every single organ in your body has a clock. The liver, the kidneys, the pancreas. We could go down the list. And it's all based on that master clock. But that master clock has to be set. And that circadian rhythm, that sleep-wake cycle, is what maintains you as a person. Now, I'm going to give you a tip. Circadian clock maintenance. You need 10 to 15 minutes a day, and you can push it a little bit 4 or 5 times a week if you don't have time every day, on of sunlight on your bare skin. And what that does is that sets your circadian clock in your brain. And so you have to understand, if that master clock is set, then everything else is working fine. But if that master clock is off, well, the others are off too. And that can have major implications for your health and your well-being. So it's very important that we recognize that, and I guess I may be a little radical, but I think we're animals. We have animal bodies. Our bodies have not changed in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years. And we may think, oh, we have a brain, and we have AI, and we have this. You're an animal, okay? So all the things that animals do, we do. And part of maintaining our health is recognizing that we have an animal body that has a system that's been so entrenched and so old. And guess what? It works. So my grandmother said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay? So let's recognize that we have animal bodies, and we've got to be able to maintain that health and that animal body. So, and your body has a sleep drive. You need to understand that. Now, there are 4 pillars of life. Can anybody name the 4 pillars of life? What do you need to stay alive? We're not going to add money. Okay. Okay. Air, water, food, and sleep. Yes, 4 pillars of life. Don't forget that. Every single day of your life, you need 4 pillars going for you, okay? And your body will put you to sleep. Have you ever, stayed up and, and your body just says, I'm sorry. It's over. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason. 4 pillars of life to save your life. The body says, I'm sorry, I can't work with a 3-legged stool, okay? So we need 4 legs to make this body work. And so the body will put you to sleep to save your life. Because remember, you got a clock. And that clock sets the clock for all the other parts of your body. And let's understand what happens. Let's talk a little bit about sleep. Sleep terminology. Sleep drive, sleep architecture, sleep hygiene, sleep training, sleep number. So we're going to discuss all of those because it's all about the biology of maintaining your life and maximizing your life. And the beauty of it all is that as Black women, we carry a lot on our shoulders. But this is something we could do that doesn't cost anything, that we can do in the comfort of our own home or our cars. We can stay healthy and maintain ourselves. And so there are 5 stages of sleep. And what happens is that physically your body changes when you sleep because you decreases your heart rate. Your body temperature goes down. Muscles relax. And you have increased brain activity. Remember that. When you sleep, you have increased brain activity. And throughout the night, and they're generally about 90-minute cycles, between the different stages. I'll show you the chart. But the idea is that you go through 4 to 5 cycles every night. Sleep cycles. And so the first stage is where you're drowsy but awake. Second stage, light sleep. You can easily be awakened. Third state, moderate sleep. And then it's the 3rd and 4th stages where your body restores, repairs, produces the hormones that you need to maintain your life. And in the 5th stage, the brain is a closed system. The brain cleans itself at night. And so what they're saying is that the skyrocketing rates of dementia and Alzheimer's is related to sleep deprivation. Because what happens is that at night, if your brain cleans itself, but guess what? You're not getting enough sleep. So it kind of does a half job, a third job, maybe 3/4 job, but you need the whole job if you want a clear brain that next day. And what they're saying in terms of the skyrocketing rates of dementia and Alzheimer's is that there's plaque left over And the brain has not had time, because guess what? You're up. The brain has not had time to clean itself, so it builds up time over time, etc. And so again, it's stage 1, the drowsy but awake, and stage 3 and 4, body repairs tissue. It boosts your immune system. You want to get sick? Make sure you don't get enough sleep, okay? Guarantee it. Easy. You know, it generates the chemical hormones you need. And the other thing is that people think you learn while you're awake. You don't. It's when you sleep that you learn. When you're awake, your information goes into short-term memory. Short-term memory is limited and it fades. But at night, during REM sleep, stage 5, the deepest level of sleep, it's when you dream, but it's also when the brain is consolidating memory. I can remember things I learned when I was 5 years old. I haven't been 5 in a few years, just a few. But I can remember what I did in kindergarten because the memory was consolidated. And if you don't, and what happens in terms of the research, what they're finding is among black women is that we get to stage 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're not getting this deep level of body restoration, repair. We're not getting that deep level of brain activity and cleaning that's necessary. Why? I mean, we all know. Kids are waking up, got problems, need to pay bills, don't have the money. I mean, the list is endless. But what we have to do is recognize that we can't do that. That to be able to figure out a way to pay those bills. This friend of mine always said, you know, Irene may not have the money, but Irene's gonna find the money. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm gonna find it, and I guarantee you, I will find it. But the idea is I need to get to 5 to figure out how to find it. But if I'm constantly going 1, 2, 3, hiccup. All I am is stressed and worried. So you need that sleep to figure out that's when you're most creative. Like in terms of, you know, the books that I've written, I don't really think that much creatively during the day. It's when I'm asleep. I wake up and I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, one of the things that occurred to me was that Black history started with a love story. In 1619, 2 of the first Africans, Anthony and Isabella, who were brought to Jamestown, Virginia, and sold into indentured servitude. There was no slavery in America in the 1600s. They gave birth to the first African American, William Tucker. And that's when African American history officially began. And I've heard that story 1,000 times. But nobody ever said Black history started with a love story. These 2 people, and as I said, I have a degree in Black studies, so I know a lot about Black studies. But anyway, the idea was they were kidnapped in Africa, going to South America, then they were kidnapped again by the English pirates, taken to James. I mean, what those 2 people went through, and still they created the beginning of African American history. And I'd read that, I don't know how many times I read it, but just one morning I was like, whoa, that's a love story. Talk about Romeo and Juliet. Forget that. They weren't kidnapped, you know, twice, you know, et cetera, and not to mention, you know, the trek, so on and so forth. But the idea is that that creative ability, that resilience, that adaptability comes from that 5th level, that dream, REM sleep, and it's called rapid eye movement. And it's characterized by when you're in the deepest level of sleep, your eyes are going like this, because it's like a movie. You know, the brain is processing, the brain is putting things together, the brain is making connections, the brain is putting things in long-term memory, et cetera, et cetera. And so your body gets rigid, literally, so you don't act out these dreams, but that brain is in its deepest level of activity. Connecting, cleaning, restoring, repairing, making new brain cells, the whole bit. Now, what is sleep hygiene? I mean, we all need to have sleep hygiene. We clean our houses. We need to have a process for make sure that we're cleaning our bodies and our brains. And so practices and habits that promote good sleep quality. And again, what it does is maximizes sleep. Because again, it's not enough to just sleep. You need to go through those 5 stages. Because what the research shows is that going to 1, 2, 3, it's not enough. And so with sleep hygiene, you have a process of understanding, okay, this is really important, okay? I need to get this right. And this is the most important information, the whole talk today, how to get better sleep. So remember nothing else. If nothing else goes into short-term memory and doesn't make it to long-term memory, try to hold on to this piece. And you need to know your sleep number. Now, by sleep number, I mean the number of hours that your body needs each night to be fully restored. And it varies. They're saying the average adult needs 7 to 9 hours. Not 6, not 5, 7 to 9 hours. And so again, everybody's different. You know, a lot of the studies and research is sort of general, but the idea is that you know that your body needs 7 hours. I mean, if I get 5 hours sleep, I am a witch. I mean, I am anything. Believe me, I'll curse anybody out in a minute. 5 hours sleep, I can't handle it. But at 7 hours, I'm like, okay, how we doing? You know, is everything good? Et cetera, et cetera. Know what your body needs. And so how to get better sleep? And again, honor yourself each night. Have affirmations. Because the world, let's face it, doesn't love us. The world is not going to honor you, so you have to honor yourself. And the kind of attitude and behavior that you show yourself at night by having, you know, a sleep hygiene program and also affirmations. You know, I am worthy of rest and I allow myself to relax fully. My body and mind are in perfect harmony as I drift to sleep. And then, I won't read them all, but I give myself permission to rest, heal, and grow. So prayer, meditation, affirmations, breathing. You need to honor yourself each night. Because guess what? You did a great job today. You made it through. You're standing. You know, you're still standing. And so all of these, again, the mental attitude and the behaviors that you show yourself are part of your sleep hygiene. Okay. And again, calming, evening movement, herbal tea, essential oil, lavender is wonderful, and nighttime skincare routine. Because overnight, your body is producing the best moisturizer for your skin in the world. Personalized, completely personalized. And so you want to honor that. You want to be able to kind of maximize it. And so sleep deprivation, okay? We don't want to go there. What happens when you don't get enough sleep? You get sick. You know, again, when you're sleeping, you're boosting your immune system. You get a cold that goes on and on and on. And so sleep deprivation, the doctor gave the wonderful talk about how obesity, 56% of black women suffer with obesity. Sleep. There are 2 hormones, leptin and ghrelin, that impact your appetite. One says, I'm hungry. One says, you've had enough. I'm hungry. You've had enough. But if you don't get enough sleep, guess what? The one that says, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. High blood pressure. Remember, when you sleep, your blood pressure goes down naturally. Emotional problems, depression. Diabetes, cancer, difficulty learning, poor coordination, accidents, falls, Alzheimer's, dementia. I mean, and this is only the short list. I mean, I could add more. But what you have to understand how important sleep is, the 4 pillars of life. Now, the mechanics, the sleep cycles, the SCN, the master body clock, and all the organs, and sleep is chemical. Because there are two major hormones, melatonin and cortisol, that impact. And it's like yin and yang, balancing. Because as long as there's light out there, melatonin is being suppressed. And melatonin is the hormone your body produces to naturally put you to sleep. But when it gets dark, the melatonin production increases. And you get tired, and you want to lay down. But as long as there's light, cortisol is the major hormone that's dominating the sleep-wake cycle. And black women and sleep by the numbers. Ethnic minorities have been found poorer sleep, okay? And what's interesting, though, is that a higher proportion of stage 2 sleep. And remember, there are 5 stages. And remember, 1, 2, and 3 are kind of shaky. You need 4 and 5, but they're making it, black women are making it to 2. So that restoration, that repair isn't happening at the rate and at the level that it needs to. And what's interesting is they say, oh, I'm doing fine. They're saying, based on objective studies, you're not getting enough sleep. Oh, I'm getting plenty of sleep. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're absolutely not fine. Black women are underreporting how much sleep they're getting and how restorative they feel the next day. And there's a psychologist who has this, what she calls weathering. And the concept of weathering is that habitual trauma wears you down. And that to be traumatized, to not get enough sleep, to be stressed, it wears you down over time. You know, so your hair grays, your skin wrinkles, all these things impact the body. Okay? Shorter sleep, it takes black women longer to get to sleep, and poor sleep efficiency. Okay? And so what we found is that we can change this. I mean, we're intelligent people. We can figure this out. Sleep is not that hard. That's the beauty of it. There's so much that we can do to maximize our sleep. Maximize and improve. Okay, and also, I was praying this around Mother's Day, so this was Happy Mattressing Day, and it was like talking at the end of the talk about black women in the 4th trimester, the 3 months after you give birth, because everyone talks about the first 3 trimesters, but they're 4. Postpartum is a 4th trimester. And so I want to stop here before I go back into black maternal health and see if there are any questions or any thing you want to say, and then we'll talk about black maternal health. Yes?
How does menopause affect black women's
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes. Because again, we talked about hormones, and during menopause, your hormones are changing. And that is going to impact your sleep. No. There's something called postmenopause, you know, where they begin to level out, et cetera, et cetera. But there is a transition period. I mean, the idea of the 4th trimester is, again, about hormones. And, you know, when you're pregnant, you have certain hormones that are, you know, in your body, and then when you have that baby and you lose that placenta, bam, 24 hours, hormonal drop. So, again, as women, you know, because of the fact that, you know, we do have hormonal shifts and changes throughout life, we have to recognize the importance of having a sleep regimen, a sleep program. And how many of you have a way you put yourself to sleep, just like you put your kids to sleep at night? Okay, that's wonderful. And so to maximize sleep, you need a cool, they're saying 64, 68 degrees. You need dark and no electronics. 30 minutes minimum to 60 minutes before bed. No caffeine, no colas, nothing that may be a stimulant. And also, alcohol does not help you sleep. A lot, and again, it varies because, again, I'm looking at general stuff. Because alcohol impacts the quality of sleep you have. You have a question?
Something that has also helped me with my quality of sleep is I do yoga nidras,
Oh, yes, the breathing.
which are guided meditations.
Yes,
Calm you down and help your body relax.
yes.
And you can do them for 30 minutes to an hour, and so it helps my body.
Just decompress, relax. Wonderful, wonderful. And the other thing, I take Epsom salt baths because magnesium, the skin, it goes into your bloodstream and it's a relaxant. You know, so a warm bath, a warm shower, you know, make sure I'm getting some magnesium on my skin, into my bloodstream, and all of the things that kind of relax me. I love the yoga nidra. That's excellent. Yes? Naps? Well, very good question. Naps. Now, what you want to do is you're going to need your 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night. And again, it's a 90-minute sleep cycle. And you go through it 4 to 5 times each night. If you nap too close to bedtime, it impacts your sleep cycles. It impacts your sleep. So naps are good. I mean, a good, 20, 30-minute power nap. Because again, in 20, 30 minutes, you are not going into the 3rd and 4th, 5th levels of sleep. You're going to go 1, 2, maybe a little bit of 3, and then you're up. That's fine, but you don't want it to impact that natural process of 4 to 5 cycles, a full 5 stages of sleep. Someone ask for a hand over here? Yes.
You mentioned during REM sleep your body gets frigid and like frozen, right? What about night terrors and nightmares? How does that affect REM sleep and how rested you are in the morning?
It depends on the nightmare. Is it for an adult or a child?
Adult, like any of us in this room.
I would think about what you were thinking about before you went to bed. That would be a factor. And Carl Jung, the psychologist who I adore, talked about the collective unconscious and how when we go to sleep, we access the collective unconscious and we encounter the things that have been bothering us all day. That innate fears, insecurities, et cetera, et cetera. So what I would say is that with nightmares, if you remember them, I'd write them down and begin to think about, why am I thinking this? Why is this happening? Who are these characters in this dream? Because in a dream, you are all the characters because it's from your psyche. And so nightmares can break up your sleep, but what I would say is that, again, you have a nightmare, write it down, and then talk yourself back down to sleep in terms of relaxation. It's not real, if anything, it's a healing in terms of me seeing things that I don't. Again, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are two separate things. And the subconscious mind is so much more powerful. And so when you're asleep, your subconscious mind is telling you things that your conscious mind has not necessarily, taken notice of. And I saw another hand. Yes.
Could you say a little bit more about the effect of alcohol on your sleep, quality of your sleep?
Well, what the research shows is that alcohol will put you to sleep. It will relax you, but what it does is it gives you I'd say shallow kind of sleep. You're not going to go through the, down to level 4 and 5. That what alcohol does is you will sleep, but it won't be the deep, restorative sleep that you need and the full cycle of sleep that you need. And that's what you need. Because I said, to go through levels 1 and 2 all night long, you're going to wake up exhausted. Your mind hasn't repaired itself. cleaned itself, the brain, is tired, and your body has not been repaired or restored. Yes.
I just wanted to say too, I had at one point worked for a very renowned leader, didn't sleep,
Okay.
very well respected and renowned leader, and that energy got somehow transferred because of the demands that that particular leader had on his executive team.
Okay.
And my being one of them, it kind of subtly transferred. So like when it was time to go to sleep, I was preparing for the next day, and so it was messing up my sleep.
Yeah.
And so what happened was sometimes I would write articles or things in my head as I was laying in the bed.
Right.
And I want to validate your points, and to the doctor's point here, is that over time it took a toll because I was really compromised with sleep. I lost work-life balance and ended up in the emergency room with an accelerated heartbeat. And I was so surprised when they said to me, "You're healthy, everything's perfectly healthy," and they said, "But it looks like that maybe your body absorbed stress," and they started staring at me and they said, "So you had a physical anxiety attack," and I was like, "But I'm happy. I don't know why." And you know what happened? They said, "No, but the body speaks."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from there, I had to make fast decisions.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I just want to say how someone else's energy can get transferred, and then your mind is like constantly going.
You're so right. At night, I keep a pen and a pad by the bed. And that's because when I get looping thoughts, and it's loops like, oh, you got to do this, oh, you got to do that, I write it down. I don't turn the light on. Sometimes I can't read it the next day. But the idea is to get it out of my head and put it on that piece of paper, and then that next morning I try, and usually I can read it. But I don't put the light on because I don't want the light to impact, the melatonin level in my body so I can go to sleep. Yes?
Question, like if you slept 7, 8 hours,
Mm-hmm.
is it possible to still not have had stage 4 and 5? If you slept the full time,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean for sure you hit it, or is there something that can happen where you just keep cycling between 1 and 3?
It depends. The way you know you found your sleep number and that you've gotten the full cycle is you wake up and you are ready to kick butt. I mean, you are superwoman because your body says, we got it. We did everything we need to do. Okay, let's go. We're on it. We're ready. And so that's the way you recognize your sleep number. I thought my sleep number was 7. It's actually 8. Because I was getting 7 hours of sleep, and then one day I was like, anyway, I ended up having 8. I was like, wow, what was that? That was just an extra hour of sleep. And so what you want to do is, again, everybody's different. It may be 7, 9, and maybe for some a little less, some a little more. But the idea is that you recognize what your body needs. And again, I don't get 7, 8 hours of sleep every night. Sometimes I have something to do, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get it done. Okay. But you want to have, as a general rule, sleep is sacred. It's one of the 4 pillars of your life. And you need to recognize and honor that. Honor yourself. Honor your body. I mean, this is the only body we've got to get us through the next 85 years or however we're going to be here. There's nothing else coming. This is it. And if you degrade it and mistreat it, guess what? Yes.
To comment, I think for me, it was not until I got like a really good mattress.
Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Because I'm like,
Yes.
while it was just like I wasn't able to get enough sleep, and it was like good mattress can undermine that. And then also technology. So like my watch is connected to an app with the sleep to track my sleep. That's how I was able to determine my sleep number. And it helps. And then when I feel a certain way, I just go and look and I'm like, yep, I didn't get enough sleep.
Definitely.
Here is what it is. So I think using technology and tracking my own data has been helpful.
You know something is that it's interesting that they've done studies comparing, doctor-led sleep studies with technology, and the technology has done okay, surprisingly well. So that they're at a point now we're saying all the technology behind the sleep watches is proprietary. So we don't know exactly what they're doing or exactly what the algorithm is, but it has been shown to be effective. So for those of you who have sleep watches, I would, urge you to use them. Yes.
You mentioned that sleep is one of the 4 pillars of life. You mentioned the
Air, water. Okay, food. And sleep. Okay, think about caveman, because that's where these bodies are from. We haven't changed. And cavemen lived on food, air, water, very simple things. So, okay, yes.
One of the things I struggle with all the time is I don't finish all the things I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Getting my son from his practice, making dinner, everything until 9:30.
Okay.
And then if I have to go right to bed, I feel deprived, like I didn't have any relaxation time.
Sure.
And so then I wind up staying up late.
Okay.
And then I'm tired.
And then you're tired next day.
Go to bed, but I didn't have any downtime.
Well, I think that it's a matter of recognizing priorities, and maybe it's pizza night. You know, there are efficiencies in terms of preparing a meal, in terms of, you know, doing all the cooking, the chopping, and the other kind of stuff, but recognize that sleep is not a negotiable for your overall health, that you want to live as long as you can, as well as you can. That one of the things that someone talked about was that, you know, the debilitating illnesses that people suffer with as they grow older, and a lot of it is related to how you maintain your body. I read an article by Lena Horne in Ebony, and she said when she was 25, she started getting her body ready for 50. And I was 25. I said, oh, I need to get ready for 50, you know? I mean, the things that you do as you're younger has a major impact on what happens, the body that you have at 50 or 60 or 70. Yes?
This is sort of a follow-up to my last question, but I just wonder, people at work, they're like not awake until they have coffee. So I'm curious, like, what's with coffee?
It's caffeine. It's a stimulant.
But really, then they're sleep deprived.
Yes. Yes, that's why you don't have coffee, you know, at night. Because guess what? Coffee's a stimulant. It'll keep you awake. And you won't get the sleep that you need. So she was saying, and I'd like to paraphrase it, some people say they're not awake until they have coffee in the morning. They're sleep deprived. Excellent observation. Yes.
Can you talk to the difference between sleep and rest?
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of talk about rest.
Who was it? Reverend J had talked about the sleep bishop and her book, Rest is Resistance. And the idea that as black women, we have been worked as beast of burden for any number of centuries. And the idea that it's a radical move for us to give ourselves rest. And so sleep is a biological function. Rest is not necessarily biological. So rest may be, I like art, so I may go to the Museum of Fine Arts. That's a restful day. That's an emotionally, positive, nurturing kind of day. And so again, I'm talking about the biology of sleep, but rest is very important. Rest for our minds, where we meditate, 10 to 20 minutes a day. But again, recognize all of these elements are important in terms of maintaining our health and having successful lives. Okay. Yes.
Does it matter when you get the sleep? I'm thinking of my brother who has different work schedules. So sometimes he has an overnight, and so he sleeps during the day. And sometimes he sleeps at night.
It matters. It does matter. There are people who are night owls, who literally peak at, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Their brain is like boom, 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 boom. Okay? And there are people who are larks, who wake up early in the morning, ready to go, et cetera, in the brain. I mean, one of the things I found is that literally my best thinking is at 11 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, I'm like a vegetable. Don't ask me anything. I don't know my name anymore, because I'm an early morning person. And that's fine. But with shift workers, people who work overnight, the sleep research on sleep shift workers shows that the sleep deprivation, that even if someone they've been up all night and they go to bed, that the quality of sleep that they get is not equivalent to someone who's doing the normal sleep-wake cycle. And over time, shift workers, people who have these night jobs, tend to gain weight, they tend to have more illnesses, etc. So, I mean, you can do it occasionally, but to do it on a long-term basis over years, it does take a toll on the body. Yes?
What about interrupted sleep? So when you talked about the 90-minute cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wake up in the middle of the night,
Mm-hmm.
how long does it take? How much of an interruption still lets you get quality of sleep, or do you get quality of sleep? Say you get the 8 hours, 7, 8 hours,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not consecutive hours.
Do you know something? I read some research about, what is it, diphasic sleep? Where some people, would go to sleep a couple hours, get up, do something, and then go back to sleep. And what the research showed was that it was as effective, that it was not detrimental to do that. But I think that the idea is that you have to figure out what works for you, because sometimes, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll say, oh, I'll get up and I'll do something for about an hour, and then I go back to sleep, and I really go back to sleep. So if you are able to maintain that 4 to 5 cycles of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of sleep, in 2 packages, in 2 sections, you can still get enough sleep for your body.
So you said, when you mentioned that you had a notebook beside your bed,
Mm-hmm.
you write everything down.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I don't know what stage of sleep I'm coming out of, but I've solved the world's problems.
Okay.
The idea that the next best to know
Okay.
everything in the universe is, if I just write this down.
Right.
If I write it down in my notebook, I don't turn on the light, and I have my page open so that I can write.
Right.
And it makes no sense in the morning.
It makes no sense in the morning. Well, that's the problem. You're going to say world peace. Okay. Well, we appreciate your effort. We really do.
But I wonder what stage is that? Am I in REM? Is that the dream?
It's pretty much REM sleep. That's when the brain is most active. It's that 4th and 5th level of sleep where the brain is just peak efficiency. I mean, they're saying that the level of, activity in the brain is higher than when you're awake. During that, and again, the dreaming is, processing memory, it's processing emotional experiences, it's doing so many things that's beneficial for you that you really need, Yes.
Can you speak to, I know going to bed is the sleep hygiene, but like getting up. So for me, like my husband snooze like 5 billion times and have multiple alarms. For me, if it goes once, I need to just get out of bed. And get
Okay.
going.
Okay.
But his multiple snoozes just kind of messes up my own waking up cycle. So as part of the full sleep hygiene and waking up, I don't know that much about it, or I've explored that much about it. I'm wondering if
Right.
you could speak to that, like best practice or something, because the snoozing.
The thing is waking, when your body says, and again, it may be light, natural light that wakes you up, or it may be an alarm or whatever, but what you want to do is, again, get your body ready for the day. And usually I recommend some sort of meditation, to calm you down. It's been a long night and you're getting ready for your day, preparing, emotionally and psychologically for the day, and just start with, a brief hallelujah. I made it through the night and I'm looking forward to the day. But so much is about mental attitude and behavior and honoring ourselves, again, because as Black women, we are not given the reverence and the support that we often need. And so we have to give it to ourselves. We don't have to ask permission from anyone to go to sleep. We don't have to ask permission from anyone to say, I am fantastic. I just did a great job today, and I'm going to do an even better job tomorrow. And again, that becomes part of who we are and how we approach the world each day. Okay, any more questions? Okay, and as I said, since I had so much information on pregnant women, I was thinking we are new and expectant mothers, and we are pregnant with our futures. There you go. I had to add that in. I mean, We are pregnant with our future, so okay. So we're going to review Black female and Black maternal health disparities, statistics and studies, talk about the fourth trimester and its significance, and identify sleep solutions to Black maternal health issues. And so what is maternal health? And again, it's during pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum. And so mental health, good mental health is critical for the mother's and the infant's survival. And so this Arlene Geronimus. Her analytic framework is weathering, and she hypothesizes that the health of African Americans and other culturally oppressed groups is subject to early health deterioration as a consequence of social exclusion. And that this weathering, and what happens is that maybe the first time someone ignores you, or you're walking down the street, and I've lived in this neighborhood for a long time, and was going to visit a neighbor who I knew well, and I was going into the building, and this woman confronts me and wants to know, what am I doing there? And I'm looking at this little young woman, I'm like, really? But her attitude was I must be a thief or a robber or whatever. But I was going to see this guy I've known for 30 years. She had just moved into the building. But she felt comfortable confronting me, etc. So, weathering, and what happens is that maybe the first time you kind of brush it off, the second time stings a bit. By the third or fourth time, you're tired. Emotionally and psychically. So that's what the theory of weathering is. And chronic stress accelerates health deterioration. So if we're not doing all this restoration and getting all this sleep, it's going to impact our health. It definitely impacts our sleep. Oh, we're almost out of time. So I'll do a quick things. Causes of disparities, racism, lack of childcare, fear, money, immigration, and how we can improve. And again, with the pregnancy, recognizing the importance of the fourth trimester, and that's when Black women who have babies need support. And in the old days, it was the village, because you had your sister, you had your mother, you had your grandmother, you had your aunts, you had all of these women in the neighborhood who helped you with the baby. You didn't raise that baby yourself, and now these days, you're pretty much on your own. And so what I would say is that the woman in the sanctuary gave a talk about how we're farmers. And what she was saying was that we are farming the community in terms of our support, in terms of the information and knowledge that we can share. And so the idea of sleep deprivation leads to emotional dysregulation, leads to poor coping, it becomes a cycle. And so these women who are tired, who just had a baby, who wakes up every 2 hours to eat, every 2 hours. My daughter woke up every 2 hours for 4 months. It was wonderful. I was like, I'm going to kill her. I can't live in 2 hour sleeps. You can't sleep because you had to take the breasts out, you had to clean the breast, you had to put the breast back. Guess what? She's up again. You take the breasts out, you clean the breast, you give the breast. I'm like, give me a break here, okay? We're definitely getting rid of this kid. This was not a good idea. I thought it was at the time, but my mistake, etc. But again, they have small stomachs, and they wake up every 2 hours because they're hungry. And again, that can accelerate postpartum depression because you're just physically exhausted. Part of the sleep cycle and the healthiness of sleep is that it gives you emotional regulation. It gives you the ability to process things. And so that's when the village comes in and helps. The aunts, uncles, neighbors bring her up a dish. Buy some Pampers on the way. I love that idea of a farmer, that we have a community and that we are farming in terms of supporting each other, et cetera, et cetera. And again, the research shows poor sleep predicts postpartum depression. And it worsens emotional regulation, coping, relationships, and better sleep lowers postpartum depression. And so mental health is a major problem for Black women in the fourth trimester. and it's underdiagnosed. 40% report symptoms. It's underreported, understand that. 40% report symptoms, only 8% receive treatment. And so again, babies are wonderful. And they're so cute, but man, every 2 hours, I liked her a lot when she got here, but it was a lot. And the idea is that the high blood pressure, the slower recovery, all are impacted by sleep deprivation. And that cycle continues. Sleep deprivation, emotional dysregulation, coping. She's snapping at the baby. She's not happy with the baby. You know, she has issues attaching, et cetera, et cetera. And let's see, signs of depression. Okay, mood disorder. All right, so I think we're out of time. And I want to say thank you. You've been fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. It was my great pleasure to have a chance to share with you.